What is up, creatives? This is Tom. Welcome back to another video. We've got something a little bit different today. So I am here at my desk. What I'm going to be showing you is some Lightroom Mobile tricks to basically just enhance your photo editing. I've got my iPad ready, loaded up with Lightroom Mobile Pro. Now I have shot all of these photos in RAW, and that's a bit of a prerequisite for the video. If you are not shooting in RAW, I thoroughly recommend that you try to shoot in RAW using either a camera, or I believe some phones now can shoot RAW as well. It basically just gives you way more control in your edit. You can underexpose your images, that means taking it quite dark and then boost it up in post to just get a much more detailed and punchy image. So I've got 3 edits to show you today, so I'm just going to be walking through those processes. And basically each of those edits are going to show you an editing technique or style. So guys, the first technique that I'm going to be showing you is that you shoot really dark. You shoot kind of an area and underexpose that area, and as I said, bump up the shadows, bump up the exposure, and then also bump the highlights down. So let's take a little peek here. So I've actually got the perfect image here. So what we're going to be doing is this is a photo of our new dog, and I'm going to be basically just bumping this up massively so that we can get a lot of the detail back. As you can see, she's quite a dark dog, so we'll just bump those shadows up. So let's tap the edit button, go into light, and bump these shadows up. As you can see, that's already helping, but I'm going to also bump up the exposure slightly as well. And then we're going to reduce the highlight slightly here. You can see that that automatically helps the balance of the image a lot. So let's bump the exposure up just ever so slightly, and we'll give it a little bit of contrast, and also decrease its black level as well. So you can tap and hold on the image on the left, and what that will let you do is show you the image before and after. As you can see, that is already immediately helping quite a bit on that image. But let's play around with the white balance, with the whites slider here a little bit as well. If you want to reset any of these, you can just double tap on the slider. That will reset to 0 for you, but let's leave that around about 20. So I'm going to tap this curves button next, and as you can see, that will just bring up basically an S curve for light. And we're just going to give it an overall touch up, a bit of brightness in the highlights, and a decrease in the shadows ever so slightly. And we can tap out of that S curve, and as you can see, there's a huge difference between that beginning shot and the edit. So just to finish this edit off now, what we're going to do is just flick out the light and go into color. This kind of touches on the next step we're going to look at, but I am just going to increase the vibrance of the grass just a little bit, and also just change the temperature of the shot overall just to bring it up and make it a little bit warmer. So as you can see, that is the final edit for that photo, an absolutely huge difference, and basically just goes to show that you can achieve so much by shooting a dark image and then editing it or brightening up in post using those shadows and highlights. Okay, so next photo, what we're going to do here. So this is a photograph that I took in Sydney. So this is the Sydney Opera House, and I shot this on a 50mm, so it was an interesting challenge to shoot something like that on a 50mm lens. We're going to be using Hsl Sliders, which stand for hue, saturation, and luminance, and we're going to basically color each section of the image and basically just make it really, really pop by using those selective color tweaks. So again, let's go into the edit panel, and just as initially for the edit, I'm going to very quickly brighten this up. As you can see, that's immediately just a huge difference, but we can collapse that light and open up the color section here. Now we can warm this up totally like we did on the last image, and also give it just a tad bit of vibrance as well. But the main magic is going to happen in this color wheel section over here. So let's tap on that. That brings up this color mix panel. So what we're going to do immediately is I want to fix the sky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on this blue slider over here, and we're going to dim that right down. And as you can see, that basically just makes it pop. And I'm also going to bump up the saturation. No, we'll leave the saturation for now. I'm going to change the hue. So that makes the sky just a little bit, if I drag that all the way over here, it would be really cyan. But I'm going to drag that over just a bit into its teal, and then bump up the saturation slightly over here, and you can see the before and after to the sky there, just definitely making it pop. And then we're going to do for the same for the orange, so the sort of foreground, we're going to move that hue just over, just to kind of take some of the greeny sort of color out of that. And then we can bump the luminance up as well and make the saturation, bring the saturation over slightly. Let's actually bring that over just a little bit further. And there we go, we have the final edit for that photograph. As you can see, that is an enormous difference. I might just actually bump up the saturation ever so slightly more on the sky there. And you can see that, just like I said, an enormous difference in the final edit. And basically that's using those selective color improvements. You can really sort of make each dedicated color stand out without over affecting the overall image like the master saturation slider would do so. All right guys, so final image, and this one, I'm basically going to be showing you how to make your sunsets glow. You can kind of get it to overtake the sky. Now, you're basically capturing not a ton of detail in that sky, but it's just really showing a presence within an image. So I'll show you how to do that now within Lightroom. So I've got this image that I took in California. So we're going to open up the edit profile again, and I'm going to give this image just a little bit of a touch up. So we're going to whack the highlights up this time on this one. I'm going to bring the blacks down to basically create even more contrast between the foreground, the dark foreground, and the background. Again, we're going to increase the contrast here, and I'm actually going to dim the shadows a bit as well. So we're doing opposite of what we've actually normally done, because we want that difference this time between the dark foreground and the background. So then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up the effects panel, and I'm going to use this haze. So this basically would dehaze the image. If we put that all the way up to 100, you can see how that is affected there. But so what we're going to do is we're going to sort of use it to our advantage, and we can bump that up to maybe 30, minus 30 rather. And you can see just the difference. You lose a lot of the detail in the sky, but it does really help that to sort of glow. And now we're going to open up the color panel, and we're going to go back to the master panel and select our oranges, our yellows and our oranges, and we can bump up the saturation within those colors and also the luminance as well. So we can, let's do both the orange. And then right at the end, once we're happy with those individual HSLs, we can go up to the overall color section at the top. Let's increase the vibrance for the image, and that will help some of that sunset light sort of pop. Give it a little bit of saturation as well. And then we're just gonna increase that temperature over to the right ever so slightly. And I'm also going to choose my blues and then desaturate those ever so slightly as well. And you can see the final image here. As you can see, you just get a real glow going on in the background. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. Of course, this technique isn't going to be used for every single photograph, but a really nice one if you're shooting a lot of sunset images. It gives you another choice to change it up from those clouds and a lot of details and those pink skies. I really like to edit in this way. Basically guys, there we have it. That is 3 editing techniques you can take away from this video and start editing on your own. I do think that you need to upgrade to Lightroom Pro. I don't think it's very expensive, but that allows you to edit raw files within Lightroom Mobile, and I do just think that's an absolute must. If you're wanting to improve your photography, that is one immediate way that is definitely going to improve your photo game. Just shoot raw and then bring in those files, and you'll find that editing is just way easier, and you're going to be producing things that were night and day better than you were producing before. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video and or found it useful. If you have any questions, drop some in the comments down below. I'll be happy to answer them, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.